Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Stepsbasic, and welcome back to my community show. Oh, it's so beautiful. I'm supposed to forgot vote. Doesn't matter. That's not what's important. What's important is today. First of all, welcome back to my community show. For those of you who don't know, this is my community engagement show where I talk about stuff. And today, we are going to be addressing The Witness as far as my review of The Witness was concerned. So, first of all, let me say this. I don't like to give bad reviews. I really don't. Because, well, a number of reasons. One, I don't believe that everyone's opinion is shared. So, my opinion about The Witness may not be the same as your opinion about The Witness. And so I don't like to give bad reviews because I don't want to sour anyone's taste of the game before they've played it. Generally, when I give a review, I'm going to be talking about how it affected me in the long run. And the other reason I don't like to give bad reviews is I don't know how much of a passion project a certain thing was. As such, The Witness was a very difficult game for me. Not because it was a hard game to play. All right, for those of you who don't know, The Witness is a game of puzzles. Now, I went into this under a false notion, because what I was told was that this game was very much like Myst or Riven, if any of you remember those games. Those were older games. Kind of puzzle games, point-and-click type adventure style games, very interesting, and a deep lore to them. And so that's what I was expecting when I went into The Witness. I was expecting something like Myst or Riven. I was sorely disappointed. There was absolutely no story for a very long time. Now, the thing about The Witness is that you got to remember, this is a puzzle game, which means that the game is going to be centered completely and totally around its puzzles. Sad part is there are some puzzles that do absolutely nothing, whereas there are also puzzles that do something, but you don't know what immediately. And some puzzles are just big groups of puzzles to activate lasers that shoot up at the mountain, which opens up the end area for you. Let's talk about the pros to this game. First of all, this game is a game for almost everyone. This game has a very beautiful setting, vibrant colors, contrasting with nature versus human involvement, nature versus industry, as it were. We have burned out places, we have water, we have desert, forest, mountain, and it's beautiful. It's a bit cartoony, a bit on the cartoony side, but apart from that, very gorgeous game. The puzzles, they range from very simple to incredibly difficult, with the final puzzle being the most difficult of them all, as one would expect. More than that, there are puzzles that link to puzzles, and so if you're into puzzles, this is the game for you. There is a mystery to this game. As you walk around the island, you start to notice different things, especially statues that look very much human, very much like somebody has been turned to stone. Now, of course, not all of them look human enough to really pass. Some of them look very comical. There's very clearly something going on. And it raises the question of what happened to these people, because they look so much like actual people that you're like, these guys got turned to stone. Now, I went through most of this game. It took me about 2 weeks to play through it twice. And going through this game, the first time I had a lot of high hopes for the game. They started to diminish quickly, especially when I found puzzles that led to nothing. But there is a deeper mystery to this game. And people who like mysteries will like that aspect of it. Let's go on to the cons of this game. First of all, a lot of the puzzles are not intuitive. Now, there are some that are very intuitive, and a lot of them are environmentally based, from shadows to fruit hanging on trees to basically obvious solutions, maps and or mazes and whatnot. But there are a lot of puzzles that they don't tell you what you're supposed to do, and you just look at them dumbfounded, and you just try to muscle your way through. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to get anywhere. Now, after a bit of fiddling and figuring out, you will find out that the puzzles do all have a method to their madness. There is a method, i.e., the colored squares, you have to separate the colored squares. You can't have the same colors in the same square. The stars, you have to have only two of the same color stars within a quadrant. They can be with other color squares, but they cannot be with other stars. The diamonds you can only solve by, depending on how many diamonds there are in the square, 1 to 3, or how many times the line has to cross over it. And there's Tetris patterns, which was actually one of the more easy to figure out, and the Pac-Man type puzzles where you have to go and eat up the little globules. And once you know how to solve the puzzles, all of the puzzles become incredibly easy, which will be disappointing to our puzzle friends. And as far as the mystery to the game, it's very, very shallow. After playing through the game the first time, I came to the conclusion that the person who made this game had liked Myst, had liked Riven, and had wanted to recreate the experience, but they lost something along the way. And I was like, okay, so maybe this was just a misinterpretation. After playing through it a second time, I started to find these little voice recorders hidden around the island. And they were filled with quotes, citing, who knows, a lot of people. Albert Einstein was actually the first one I found. But they cover a wide range of many different quote topics, etc. And so I was like, okay, I'm starting to see something now. And then I unlocked the windmill. And throughout the island, there are these hidden puzzles that have papers within boxes. And the papers within the boxes will give you a code to listen to a video or watch a video in the windmill, underneath the windmill. And I'm like, oh, this is neat. And it's actually kind of funny because the first time I solved the first puzzle, and I got one of the codes. I went to the windmill and watched the first video in the windmill, and the windmill, or the video, it was funny because I thought it was talking to me at first, but it wasn't. It was actually just pulled from a BBC show. I'm not going to include any of that footage because I don't know if that stuff is copyright yet or not. But after playing through the game the second time, getting all the way to the end, and finding my way to the last puzzle, the challenge puzzle, I was a little lost. First of all, the last puzzle is a music puzzle, but not a music puzzle. It's a timed puzzle, set to a song. And you have to complete 14 puzzles before you finish that one. And I'm like, okay. Several tries. Yeah. That one sucked because I was never fast enough. But after going through everything I'd been through, I realized one thing. This game was a smart game made for smart people by people who don't understand what smart is. That sounds insulting, I know, and I apologize, but that's not... citing wisdom does not make you wise. Citing intelligence does not make you smart. That's the problem with what I saw with this game. Then, after looking around the final puzzle area, which is kind of a secret area, I found some other tape recordings, and I found out there actually is a story to the game. And I was like, whoa, that was interesting. Because I clicked a tape recorder, and the lady started talking, doing the usual quote thing. And then after the end of the quote, somebody started talking to her.
Shuangsu, 4th century BC.
So, how did it go?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Wait, what?
And I was like, oh my God, there actually is a story to this game. I haven't just been wasting my time. And that was kind of the one thing that I took away, because I started looking into the game a little bit more after I beat it. And I started looking into it a bit more, and the developer of the game had said something along the line, allow me to paraphrase, I don't remember the exact quote, but he'd said something along the line of he didn't want people to play this game if they weren't 100% invested in it. I.e., they have to go and try to find every single puzzle and unlock every single door and find every single exit and ending. The most disappointing was the first one I found, which is you play through the game, follow all the arrows, follow all the maps, and then you get to the elevator and it swoops you around the island back to the beginning. Not a fan of that ending. The second ending, the second ending I found was actually kind of tricky. I'm not going to include any footage in this because I want that one to be a bit of I don't want to spoil that one in case you are going to play it, because that ending was probably the most interesting ending I found, which was right at the beginning. You can line up the sun with the exit door to your first area and open up a door into a hotel. And in there, you can find more tape recordings. The tape recordings talk about, they give you the credits of the game, essentially. Art design, music director, etc., etc. But if you follow the path all the way through, you end up in a live action area where, it's live action. I won't tell you any more about that, but it did kind of make me feel like the developer or whoever was in that scene had been going through what I had been going through while I was playing this game. I feel like this was very much a labor of love. I feel like the people who worked on this game really loved it, and I could tell, looking at the beautiful imagery, looking at the complex puzzles, and even some of the character development was interesting. But all in all, the game shows you that the game is not real. Nothing you've been doing is real. It's all a simulation. And to be perfectly honest, some of that makes sense, because after going through a lot of it and seeing everything I've seen, like some of the tree puzzles and some of the shadow puzzles, it's like there's no way this would work in the real world. And so that naturally leads you to understand that it's a simulation to begin with. But in the end, I don't know what they were trying to accomplish. There was some talk about memories and dreams and whatnot, and how people were forgetting things, and how they were working with dreams and trying to figure things out. But ultimately, the story was not clear enough. All that being said, I cannot stress this enough. Do not ever base your opinion of a game on my opinion. Because, like I said, there is a little bit of something for everyone almost in this game. There is no combat. There is no fighting. There's no romance. The only thing you have to worry about is solving puzzles and finding tape recorders. One of the more interesting aspects of this game I did find was the environmental puzzles. Those were probably the coolest things about the game. Now, like I said, they would not work in the real world. But some of them were, like the way the clouds lined up. You can click on a big circle and whoosh it through the clouds, and it's kind of neat. Same with a line of trees. And the way paint is on a board or on a wall or on a boat, you can see how that works. The way stones line up. And that in itself kind of led me to understand that either the developer of the game or the developer of the simulation in the game had some sort of a haunting connection to these sort of puzzles. Like he sees circle lines everywhere, which is not healthy, and you should probably see somebody about that. But in the end, after everything was done, the only thing I can truly say about this game is, despite their protestations to it, this game is pompous. They made it for the intent to stun and stupefy, and in the end, all it was frustrating and disappointing. They wanted people to be impressed with their intelligence, and in the end, I feel like they fell so short. There was so much opportunity in this game, so much opportunity for a deeper mystery, so much opportunity for a better story. And to be perfectly honest, if they just released this as a standalone Here Are the Puzzles and got rid of the tape recorders altogether and said this is a puzzle game, they would have worked out so much better. Because I would have looked at it and I would have said, okay, it's just a puzzle game. I don't have to look for any deeper meaning or anything. And honestly, I should have approached it from there to begin with. If I'd approached the game from it's just a puzzle game to begin with, instead of expecting Myst or Riven, I think I might have actually enjoyed myself. Because I do love puzzles. I have to say that when I don't like something, I have to go in deeper. I have to figure out why I don't like something. And that's what happened with this game. I mean, it's happened with a number of other things, especially in recent history, but this game was one of those that really begged the question of, why do I not like this game? And that's why I had to dedicate 2 weeks of my life to playing it. Not exactly 2 weeks, a couple hours every day for 2 weeks. But in the end, I finally understand why I didn't like that game. And it is based on the pun of this video, the pun title of this video, and my own expectations, is that this game was a huge missed opportunity. Because it could have been so much better. That being said, I can tell that the people who worked on this game loved it. And I can tell that they dedicated themselves to this project. And it did come out probably exactly how they wanted it. It is beautiful. The puzzles are fun, complicated, annoying at parts. And ultimately, I think the game served what they thought it would serve. But to me, it just came across as, look at us, we're so smart. And it's funny because I ran into a tape recorder at one point where they were talking about they didn't want to just leave the quotes around because they didn't want people to think they were just being pompous and whatnot. They wanted people to understand that it was a human endeavor. Okay. But at the same time, that just kind of added to the fact that you guys got a little full of yourselves. When all is said and done, if you want a puzzle game, this one is for you. This one has something like 600-something puzzles in it. They are all interesting. Some of them are a little more complicated than they should be. Some of them are a little ludicrous. But ultimately, you have a lot of interesting puzzles, and yeah, get this as a puzzle game. Don't look at it for any deeper meaning. If you want to, go ahead and look everywhere because these little tape recorders are annoying to find. That is my comprehensive review of The Witness. I wanted very much to like this game, and I wanted very much to like it because I very much like puzzles, and I like puzzle games, and I love mystery, and I love having little secrets being revealed. The way I think that they could have improved the game would have been lore. Now, I understand what the guy was going for. He didn't want people to get into it and just, play it to find out everything immediately. He wanted people to actually work for the information they got. And I think that with every laser, they could have revealed some lore. Like, unlock a laser and it gives you some background into the island or background into their experiments and whatnot. And then they could have put like little stupid bits of lore, like the conversation that the guy had about the coffee, about giving the girl a coffee, could have been like tied to one of the just random puzzles that had nothing to do with anything. But ultimately, that's the only way I think they could have improved the game, is if they would have actually included story into it. If this was a free game, and it was for me, but it's not usually, if this was a free game, I think I could have given it a better pass. But for what is usually paid for this game, no. Yeah, it's too much work with not enough payoff, as it were. But anyway, my apologies to the developers and the people who enjoyed this game. But that's my feelings on it. And I know that if somebody who watches this video who loved the game will probably be ranting at me saying, you didn't really get the full meaning of the game. And I'll be like, yeah, probably not. But anyway, apart from that, thank you guys so much for joining me for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please go and poke that like button for me. If you'd like to see more from me, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And of course, as always, you're more than welcome to leave a comment down in the comment section down below. And I will get back to you as soon as I can, when I can, if I can, you know, all that jazz. And tune in next time for another community show. A different topic at a different time. And until then, good night.